Imagine looking up at the night sky, expecting to see the familiar pale glow of the moon, only to find nothing. The stars sparkle more brightly than ever, but the moon, Earth's ancient companion, has vanished without a trace. What would happen to our world if the moon disappeared overnight? The moon has been orbiting Earth for about 4.5 billion years, shaping not only our planet's physical systems, but also our cultures, myths, and daily lives. Without it, Earth would become a profoundly different place, one that might not even be hospitable for life as we know it. The first and most dramatic change would be the tides. The moon's gravity pulls on Earth's oceans, creating the daily rhythm of high and low tides. Without the moon, the sun would still create some tidal movement, but it would be only about 1/3 as strong. The oceans would flatten out, leaving coastlines eerily still. At first glance, this might sound peaceful. Calmer seas, fewer floods. But tides are not just about beach waves. They are engines of life. Countless marine species depend on the rising and falling of the water to feed, breed, and migrate. Crabs, clams, and fish that rely on tidal pools would vanish. Coastal ecosystems would collapse. Even worse, the oceans themselves would suffer. Tides help circulate nutrients and oxygen, keeping marine environments alive. Without them, vast dead zones could spread across the seas, suffocating life and devastating the global food chain. Humanity, which relies heavily on fish for protein, would face a food crisis within generations. But the moon's disappearance wouldn't just affect the oceans, it would also destabilize the very tilt of our planet. Right now, Earth's axis is tilted about 23.5 degrees, and the moon's gravity helps keep it steady. This tilt is why we have predictable seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. Without the moon, Earth would wobble like a spinning top, losing balance. Over thousands or millions of years, the tilt could swing dramatically, even up to 45 degrees. Imagine one part of the planet roasting under endless daylight, while another freezes in near-permanent darkness. Ice ages would come and go unpredictably, followed by sudden heat waves. The reliable rhythm of the seasons, which humanity has depended on for farming and survival, would vanish. Now, let's think about the night sky itself. Without the moon's glow, nights would be much darker. The stars and Milky Way would blaze brilliantly, which sounds romantic, but it would deeply affect wildlife. Many animals use moonlight to navigate, hunt, or avoid predators. Sea turtles' hatchlings, for example, follow the light of the moon to reach the ocean. Birds rely on lunar cues to migrate. With no moon, these natural systems would collapse, causing mass extinctions across the animal kingdom. Humans, too, would feel the change. Before artificial light, the moon was humanity's night lamp. Ancient farmers planted crops by its cycles. Calendars and rituals across cultures were built on lunar phases. Without it, entire traditions, from Ramadan fasting to Chinese mid-autumn festivals, would lose their anchor. Even our concept of time would be shaken. And then, there's protection. Few realize this, but the moon acts as a cosmic shield. Its gravity influences the paths of asteroids and comets, pulling some away from Earth or absorbing impacts itself. The craters on the moon's surface are a record of how often it has taken the hit for us. Without it, Earth would face a higher risk of devastating collisions, the kind that could wipe out civilizations. So, within days, months, and years of the moon's disappearance, we'd see ecological collapse, food shortages, and increased danger from space. And this is just the beginning. The longer-term effects would be even more catastrophic. Now we'll explore how Earth's climate would unravel, how humans might struggle to adapt, and why the moon's steady presence is far more important than most of us ever imagine. So far, we've seen how the loss of the moon would devastate tides, ecosystems, and even our protection from asteroids. But what about the climate itself? Without the moon's steady gravitational pull, Earth's tilt would eventually spiral out of control. This means seasons would stop following the familiar cycle we take for granted. Instead, they could swing between extremes. Imagine a world where summers lasted for years at blistering temperatures, followed by decades of brutal winters. Crops wouldn't survive. Freshwater supplies would vanish under ice or dry up in heat. Whole regions of the planet would become uninhabitable, forcing mass migrations and triggering constant conflict over resources. And unlike today's slow climate shifts, these changes could happen unpredictably. Farmers, governments, and scientists wouldn't be able to plan or adapt fast enough. Human civilization has flourished because of Earth's relative stability. Without the moon, that stability is gone. But let's go even deeper. Think about wildlife. Many species depend not just on tides, but on the moon's light itself. Owls, wolves, and nocturnal hunters rely on moonlit nights to stalk prey. Prey animals use the shadows of the moon to hide. With no lunar cycle, nocturnal ecosystems would collapse. Migration patterns of birds, timing of insect swarms, and even the reproductive cycles of fish and amphibians would break down. Life evolved with the moon as a constant companion. Taking it away is like removing the foundation of a building. Everything above it begins to crack. Now picture the human response. Humanity has always been clever at adapting, but a moonless Earth would push us to the limit. We might build vast systems of artificial tides using underwater turbines or pumping stations to replace natural circulation in the oceans. These could keep marine life alive, but at enormous energy costs. Farmers might move entirely indoors, relying on vertical farms, hydroponics, and artificial lighting. Seasons would no longer guide planting and harvest. Instead, we'd live on human-made schedules, detached from nature. Cities themselves might transform. Some scientists suggest that in a wobbling, unstable climate, much of humanity would move underground or underwater, where conditions could be controlled. Technology might save us, but at the cost of our connection to the natural world. And what about culture? The moon has always been more than a rock in the sky. It has inspired songs, art, poetry, and myths in every civilization. It guided ancient sailors across oceans. Lovers gazed at it for comfort. Entire calendars, like the Islamic lunar calendar or the Chinese calendar, are built around its phases. Without it, we would lose not just a celestial body, but a piece of our identity. The disappearance of the moon would leave a hole in the human story that no amount of artificial light could replace. Even science itself would take a hit. The moon is our closest cosmic neighbor, a stepping stone for humanity's dream of space exploration. It's a training ground for missions to Mars and beyond. Without it, our journey into the stars would be far more difficult. But let's step back and ask, could this really happen? Realistically, no. The moon can't just vanish overnight. It formed billions of years ago, likely from a massive collision that tore a chunk of Earth into orbit. Since then, it's been drifting slowly away, about 3.8 centimeters each year. Billions of years from now, it will be so far that total solar eclipses won't occur anymore, but it won't simply disappear. For the moon to vanish instantly, something unimaginable would have to occur. Perhaps a collision with a rogue planet or some kind of alien super technology. Both are far outside the realm of possibility. So, while the moon isn't going anywhere soon, imagining its loss helps us appreciate its importance. Because when you think about it, the moon is more than a satellite. It's a silent guardian. It stabilizes our planet, nurtures our oceans, protects us from asteroids, and connects us through culture and history. It has been with us for every moment of human existence, shaping the very world we live in. So the next time you see the moon rising, whether it's a silver crescent, a glowing full moon, or a faint shadow in the dawn, remember what it really is. Not just a light in the sky, but a lifeline. A reminder that our world is balanced on fragile forces, and that even something as familiar as the moon is holding together the story of life on Earth. Without it, Earth would still exist, but it would be darker, lonelier, and far less habitable. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the strangest what-if scenarios, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what other impossible questions you'd like me to explore. Until next time, keep looking up and stay curious.